Hey everybody, well I'm Gary, I'm the Attitude Adjuster. Just wanted to throw some stuff out there. It's an amazing thing that through life, as you learn and do different things, you find that there's an old saying that says when you're ready the teacher will appear, you know. And Casey Neistat is one of those interesting individuals that has changed my attitude, you know. It's very interesting how life develops and goes through, and things are talked about nostalgia and looking back. And yet so many of the monstrously life-changing things are still in front of people. You know, I think it's that thing of looking backwards that causes the future to not develop. And you know, Casey is one of those individuals that inspires people and inspired me with so many of the different things that he portrays and puts out there for people to take or to leave, whichever you prefer. You know, the skill craft of being able to make films and things like that, from a person like him, where he's sitting at the top of the pinnacle, you know, and what he develops and puts out there lifts the bar for so many other people, and people that aren't in that league, you know, by miles and miles and miles. I think that's one of the greatest things, that no matter what happens with Casey Neistat in the future, you know, his legacy that he leaves behind for everybody else is something that will give to the greater YouTube community and our family directly for generations. Like, it, you know, it doesn't go away, it's always there. So the sheer volume of his work and the way that he has depicted and portrayed life, and being able to take those little snapshots that make such great film footage is just inspirational to people who never knew the craft, who, you know, I'm just a farmer, just a small town guy, you know, and had my battles with Massey trying to get justice with the tractor. And you see how that film craft has shown me a whole new way of portraying things and showing people the real story about life in Australia and around here, and also being able to generate much more interaction, because people are important to us. You're important to me. The fact that you're watching it at all is an important thing to us, you know. It's an amazing journey to go through that and suddenly have your eyes open to so many little parts and particles of that that improvement, that bringing a better life to yourself, to your family, and to many other people by being inspired by people. It is like I can't get enough of the films and things like that, and there's just such a huge amount of work out there to learn from. And it opens up other doors too, to other people that as you're going through that path, you're seeing other people's work. And it just helps to inspire you to want to make better content and to show people different formats of the work that you do. It is impressive. It doesn't matter whether you're living in New York City in that environment of that high-paced life, or you're living in rural life. This isn't country life, but rural life in the bushes, listening to the birds sing first hour of the morning and the lights starting to break through the trees there. It's a beautiful, pretty place to live and to work. To bring people along with you on that journey is an amazing thing. And that's, you know, the other part of our lives that was changed many, many years ago with horses. Horses changed our lives because they live so much in the now, and they live so much reactionary to the world around them, that their communication of that is where people get hurt. But the beauty that it brings to you in the natural beauty, and listening to things that you would never hear in normal life in the city, so many of these things are not a part of your lives, or not a part of life, but actually they're there all the time. You know, Casey Neistat with his way of bringing that film to us, and you know, I'm trying to work here, guys. Hey, shh. No, seriously. The 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 beauty around us, I've seen the sunrise and sunset for many, many years because of the horses. Living in the now increases your awareness of everything around you. And his films of jumping from thing to thing to thing to thing in the hectic pace of that really touched things within me that were so real, because so many people get up every morning and they don't see the sunrise. They do not see the beauty in the colours around them. When you live in a horse's world and you work with really upset, really agitated, really dangerous animals that have been mistreated, you start to see, because of the knife-edge world you live in, that you have to be aware of what's being said by them. But it also brings the real contrast to every second is important. Every second of every person's life is important. You don't get to spend it again. You don't get to redo it. You don't get to go back and, do another take and say, well, you know what, that didn't work out as well as I'd like, or it didn't go in the direction I wanted. But the reality is you've got to live as much as you can, because you've only got a certain amount of time. And sometimes that's a short time. And the more that people touch people's lives, and I've seen that through Casey's work, where he's talking about some of the other young people that have died along that way, that their lives were cut short. But like in his case and their cases, they touched so many lives in the films that they made. That's why I like everybody's videos, because I understand the amount of effort and work that it took to put that together, and the fact that they took you along for the journey. It deserves, as far as I'm concerned, that's how I live my life, that it deserves that respect. You mightn't agree with everything that you see, but some of the stuff is that entertaining, and so many people went to that much work, and they're trying to learn as they go. So I think that's one of the greatest inspirations that comes from his work. It's at a time that it's changed my life with the equipment and seeing things in reality of how better to portray things. I don't always sit here in front of the camera and just tell the story, but I thought this morning it was important to start the day with that thought, because my day started at 2 o'clock this morning. Can't sleep, all these ideas are running through my head. It's no good sitting in bed and tossing and turning and carrying on. You're better off getting up and putting some of it down. But at 2 o'clock in the morning it's too dark to be doing outside shooting, and I'd rather be outside in the outdoors, listening to nature and being a part of it. We do a lot of work here with splitting up this timber and stuff like that, and bringing warmth into people's homes is it's something that we really enjoy, and we feel strongly about making a difference in lives, and we generate an income for our family, and we put food on a table. And that's one of those things that a lot of the things that people do in their real-time lives is actually very noble. And I'm not talking about myself there, I'm talking about it's a noble thing to put food on a table, and so often we forget that. And it's a very big tragedy that we overlook that. And the fact, as he said today in his video about his son, is that nothing dates us or affects us more than seeing our children grow up and become young men and young women, and continue their lives on from that process. That it's a very sobering thing to see how many changes that have come through life. We can't control the economy of the country. We can't make the big decisions that affect masses of people. But that's one of the biggest things that came from the problems with my battles with Massey and those things, and our working so hard to provide for the family, is that the small people do matter. YouTube is an enormous family that public opinion changed multi-billion-dollar organizations' attitudes and policies. We're only a minuscule part of the society, but because of people's opinions, that changed what happened. And make no bones about that, you would never have been paid out or never have had an outcome in dealing with companies like that except for YouTube. except for Facebook, except for the people in social media. That's one of the things that in the future we must become aware of much, much stronger, is that all of the mainstream media is a place for us to be brainwashed and us to be told specific things that simply aren't true, to sell products that are unsafe. The car industry is riddled with problems with that, with lemon vehicles and all sorts of other vehicles. And at the end of the day, the governments are just about taking that revenue. They don't care about your safety, about your child's safety, about your family, you know, about how you get around the city and whether what you're using is safe. They don't care, not at all. In your workplace, don't care. As long as the dollars are coming in from the revenue from sales taxes and different taxes, that's all they care about in the consumerism. They don't care if the planet can or can't sustain that amount of wastage and disposal of items. So within our platform of looking at social media, it's the only place that the real truth can get out to people, and people then can make informed decisions about what they purchase, how they live their lives. You know, a lot of the foods that we're you know, using around the world, you know, in one generation we've had enormous problems in mental illnesses in the elderly, in families that were never there before. Alzheimer's, dementia, you name it. There's so many things there around the world, and the only common link between all of the nationalities is the fact of food. And it's, you know, one of those things you got to start asking yourself, is the preservatives causing so many effects on the children, or is it the things they're exposed to that's causing a lot of these problems, where they want to claim ADHD everywhere with everything and then drug all of our children? It's a really serious problem that we're being pushed into situations where people just accept that what they tell us to do is what we should do, and that they got our best interests at heart, and often that's not the case. So questioning things and enjoying life and living life to the fullest is the most important, because, you know, like I said before, you only get one go around. So although it started at 2 o'clock in the morning and now it's about 7 o'clock, I thank you for popping in and joining us. And to Casey Neistat, mate, you're a legend. To put it in our terms in Australia, you're a legend. What I don't like about you is I don't think you've come to Australia enough, my friend. I don't think you have. I don't think you've done us justice. Yeah, you only went to Sydney, I think. You know, come out here more and say g'day, mate, and enjoy a bit of our hospitality and a bit more of our country. And I know you got so many things on your plate, but, you know, that is something important to all of us, because you inspire all of the very small YouTube people who don't really matter in the big scheme of things to a lot of other people. And I think that's what gets lost with YouTube a little bit too much, is that the very, very small people who have a lot to contribute are struggling to be inspired enough, because as you said, the bridge between the megas and the little tiny people just starting out is such an enormous road for people to be able to bridge that gap. But people like you and others definitely do give that inspiration for people to try to bridge that gap. And thank you, my friend. You have made a real difference to our lives here in Australia. Bless you all. Thank you for dropping in. I'm Gary. I'm the Attitude Adjuster. Please subscribe to our channel. Please like our videos. I answer everybody directly myself. I do my best by everybody to try and get around to everybody, because I believe if you've made the effort to comment, if you've made the effort to watch the video, you deserve for me to respond to you. And there is only me and my son Joel and my wife Davina. So thank you all very much. Check us out with our other videos on horses and our farming and stuff like that here. We're trying to run a regenerative farm in Australia. So thank you all for stopping by. Bye bye.